Hello. I need a bigger chair. I don't know. Let me take this off. How it's cold. Okay. Hello, everybody. I don't know where to start, so I'm just gonna say thank you for checking me out. I do a channel because I don't really have close friends, or any friends. Most of my family, I hang out with a couple of my cousins, which I call them my nieces. But I love them. But this walk, this journey that I'm on, it requires that I separate myself and be with like-minded individuals. I believe in Jesus Christ, our Savior. I believe that I'm going to heaven. The only way I can get to heaven is doing my work here on earth. The earth is not my home. I'm not from planet Earth. December 20th, I will be 50 years old. 50. 50. And that leads me to getting out my comfort zone. I cannot go into the next 50 years being afraid to serve a God that have been there for me when nobody was. A little of my background. I'm from Harlem, New York City. Looking for my purpose, looking to fit in, looking for something to help me figure out why I'm here. And when I was 8 years old, I had got saved. My mother had gave us, and me and my one sibling at the time, I was 8, she was 10. We were given to my great grandmother, my grandmother's mother, because I don't know my father. I remember him a little bit more so, not him, but I remember got killed. I was 3 years old. I remember he had a best friend that used to come and take me and my older sister, who they say we share the same dad. And then there's one in between. I'm the third out of 9. I'm the third. So the older one, and I'm the third. Their father, supposedly. My mother was her sibling, share the same father. Okay. He supposedly had got killed when I was 3. I remember going to his funeral. I remember people crying. I remember bits and pieces. But as years went on and I tried to talk to my mother about who my father was, she never wanted to tell us nothing. She just said he was a good guy. She slept with him, and that's it. Like, she didn't give me no connection, no ground to stand on. She just told me that I have a personality like him, that I resemble him, But like I said, even if he's my father is in question. So I don't know what to go on. And since then my mother's now deceased. Um there's nobody I can get information from. Even the name, when me and my sister tried to look for some type of connection about him, we ran into a dead end. And my sister, she did more than what I did. And I guess she ran into a dead end. I left it alone because once we ran into the dead end, there was nothing for me to go on. He's from Trinidad. We don't even know if that was his real name. I don't even know. But anyway, so my mother was on drugs and having babies and just out in the world. And one day she went to the store, and I loved her so much. When I was a little girl, you couldn't tell me nothing about my mother. I was such a mama's girl. But anyway, one day she went to the store and she never came back. So of course, everything ran through my mind. I was a little girl. I was 8, but I was so obsessed with my mother that I thought the worst. I don't know why. She used to have a husband or boyfriend that later on, my siblings, I have 3 sisters by this man. He used to beat on her like really bad, and she was high yellow. I'm brown, but my mother was like, I call them yellow people, and I don't mean that in a bad way because I know yellow is like cowardly. But no, I don't mean that in a bad way. I meant she was high yellow, light skin, very light skin. So I thought the worst. I thought he killed her. I thought I would never see her again. And I cried. So it's the 3 of us now. My older sister, my sister before me, and me. 3 of us at the time. My brother, he lived with my grandmother. So it was just 4 of us born at that time. Oh, well, no, my sister was born too. But anyway, they didn't live with us. It was just me, my sister before me, and my older sister. We were left in the house by ourselves. So one day went by, 2 days went by. We hungry. There's no food in the house. I don't know. We used to go out to the store, and my older sister would like shoplift little cakes, stuff that we would share. We would share, or she would share with us. I'm sorry. Later on, as this Bible study go on, I'll bring up why I'm emotional about thinking about my sister. But now, she used to go and shoplift, and she would split it at night with us whenever she got out the store. So after a few days of being in the house, no lights, no food, even then God was with me, and I didn't even know God. But um, one night when my 2 sisters were sleeping, I I went outside by myself, and my older sister always told me, don't leave the house, stick with her. She got me. But this night, I was so tired and I was so hungry. So I remember my grandmother's number. And back in the days, you can call the operator, collect, and they would place the call. So I picked up the phone, the outside phone. I went out to the payphone while my 2 sisters slept. And I picked up the payphone, and the operator came on. And I told her I want to speak to my grandma. I didn't even know that you needed a phone number. But I gave her my grandmother's address, and she connected me. So my grandmother came on the line and I just bust out crying. And I told her my mom ain't been home and we hungry. And it's been a few days and I think she dead. So my grandmother was very upset and she just started crying with me. And she said, don't worry, she coming to get us right now. To go back to the house and tell my sister she coming for us. So my grandmother didn't come, but she sent my uncle, who's deceased now, and my cousin, who lives not too far from me now. And they came and they picked us up and they took us back to my grandmother's house. After I was just happy. I was with my family. I was at my granny. I loved my granny. So I was just happy that we was with everybody and we wasn't alone in the apartment by ourselves no more. So as we talking, my grandmother told us to go take a bath because we was dirty, we was stinking. So she told us to go take a bath, and that she was just very upset. And I remember just being happy to see her, just being happy to be in her home with my other cousins and my family. And everybody was like yelling about my mother, how wrong she was. And, all I just heard was a lot of chaos. So me and my sisters, we went and took a bath. And I was just remember being so happy and my sisters looking sad. And I'm like, why y'all sad? We at Granny house. We gonna eat and we got a bath. I couldn't understand why they were sad, but I guess I was 8 years old. I guess I was oblivious to stuff. I used to just smile all the time and just be happy. I don't know. I didn't see no problems, even though I grew up in mess. My soul, my spirit, I was happy all the time. Like I didn't understand why I was happy and people was mad and sad and fighting. I didn't get it. Everything went over my head. So one day I so this day my two sisters that we taking a bath, they didn't look happy. And I kept saying, why y'all not happy? We at Granny house. Like we eating, we going to have fun. And they just said, oh, Shanice, you always happy about something. But I didn't understand. So I left it alone. I was just happy. As when we got out the tub, I heard commotion in the living room. Now my grandmother's house always got commotion. Because it's like a lot of us lived in that apartment. We live in a 3-bedroom project apartment, like 30 of us. My grandmother's children, all my cousins, like it was a lot of us. So we heard a commotion when we got out the tub. So I like commotion, but I heard my mother's voice. So I immediately ran into the living room. I put on my pajamas, or whatever Granny gave me to put on. And I ran and I hugged my mother. I was so happy she wasn't dead. Like, I was crying. I was happy. I was so excited. Like, I didn't ask where you been or why you left. I'm 8. I'm just happy to see my mom. I was happy that she didn't get killed. I was happy that now we could go home now because she's home. She's back. But my grandmother took me and my sisters and my my mother in her bedroom, and she cursed out my mother. And she, it was just her screaming at my mother and my mother sitting there crying. Like, I just wanted my grandmother to leave her alone. Like, I'm just happy she here. Just leave her. Stop yelling at her. But I was a child. I didn't understand. So then my mother left. And I thought it was because my grandmother told her to leave. And I didn't understand. I thought, I'm like, why are you leaving? And she just kept saying, I gotta go. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna stay here with grandma and you're gonna be okay. So I I couldn't understand. I just cried and I cried and I tried to hang on to her leg. But she told me she had to go. So I just went in my grandmother's room and I cried. And then my grandmother came in there and told us that she didn't have no room for me and my sister. My one sister had a separate dad, the one older than me. She, the one older than me, she had her dad. So her dad came and picked her up. So now it's just me and my older sister, who supposedly share the same dad. She told us two that we're gonna go live with her mother in Long Island because she didn't have no room for me and my sisters. So at the time, I didn't understand. I didn't even know Grady had a mother. I know this age, I know everybody has a mother, but I never remember my grandmother talking about her mother. But then as the years went on, I do remember meeting her mother and her mother being, but long story short, her mother took me and my older sister in. I was excited. I was sad to leave my grandmother because that's all I knew was my granny. So, and I ain't seen my mother after that. So I just did what I was told. So my grandmother, my great grandmother came and picked us up from the train station to take us to her house in Long Island. And I was so excited. I'd never been on the Long Island Railroad. That's what the train outside. We be on the train, but that's like Manhattan train, going downtown, uptown. But I never been on a Long Island Railroad. So I was looking out the window and I never seen houses and trees and just, I was just like, oh my God, we're going to live in a big house and we're going to have our own backyard because that's what my grandmother had told me. So I was excited. I was so excited on that train. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You got to forgive me. But this is, and I got to get this out. But before I start Bible class, I'm trying to introduce the person that I am and how I got to today where I want to start my own Bible study YouTube channel. So, yeah, I'm playing music in the background to it soothes my soul. But, okay, we're on the train. I'm excited. I'm looking at the trees and everything. It's just so beautiful and I'm so excited. I'm gonna live in a house, a big house. I've never been in a house. I've always been in an apartment in Harlem. So I was so excited. We get there, finally we get there, which took forever. When you ate, you just can't keep still. You're so excited. You ask the questions. And then my great grandmother seemed kind of mad or mean or something. I would ask a question and she was telling me, child, just sit there and be quiet. Just sit there and keep your mouth shut. We'll get there soon. But I didn't hear her. I kept asking questions. I kept jumping excited. But she seemed kind of mean. And that should have told me something. But like I said, I'm 8. And I'm slow at that time. Everything went over my head. So I ain't paying no attention. But we finally get there. Like it seemed like it took like 2-3 hours or something. But we finally get there. And it's a big house like I remember. I mean, like she said it was. Oh, and it had a backyard. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to live in a house. I'm going to be in the backyard. Wait till my cousins see this. Because all I could think of is my granny and my cousins. And wait till they see where I live. So it was late when we got in. So she made us eat barley soup. Barley soup. I've never even heard of barley soup. But it's like little white things that look like eyeballs and slimy. And she gave us a bowl of that and told us to eat it. Now, I come from Granny house. Granny was a soul food cooker. So she ain't never gave me no barley. So I was like, what is this? So they told me, my grandmother told me it was barley. My great grandmother said, that's barley and eat it. And she gave us like cornbread, but the cornbread wasn't like Granny made. The cornbread was like dough, water, with sweetness to it. They called it cornbread. I forget what they called. They didn't call it cornbread. They called it something else, sweet cake or sugar cake, or I don't know. But it wasn't cornbread like Granny made. It was just dough, water, and sugar, I guess. I don't know. But I like that, the bread, but I ain't like that barley. That night, the first night there, she was very nasty. She ain't getting up from that table until you finish that bowl of barley. I started crying. I don't know this lady. I gotta eat this stuff that look like eyeballs looking at me. What am I do? Okay. I forced it down just so I could go to bed because I wound up dozing off at the table. And she wouldn't let me go to bed without eating it. So I forced it down some way, somehow. And I ate the cornbread thing, the cake or whatever you call it. And we went to bed. Now, mind you, when we got to her house, we didn't get to see the house because it was late. So all we saw was the bathroom. We went right upstairs, and all we saw was the bathroom, the kitchen, and a little area. They had the couch pulled out for me and my sister to sleep on. So I didn't get to see the house, really. We ate, and they gave us a bath. We ate, and then we went to bed. So the next morning, and I say they, this is my great grandmother and her sister, which is my great aunt. Okay? This is her and her sister. And they lived together all their life, apparently. And so they still live together. Now they like 80, and they still live together, which was weird, but okay. I'm 8 years old. I ain't asking no crazy question like why y'all live together. I'm 8. I don't know questions like that yet. But her name was Aunt Bertha, and my grandmother was Grandma Rose. So that's Aunt Bertha and Grandma Rose. So, and then they have a little girl who was younger than me. I think like she was like 4 or 3 or something, or maybe 4, because I'm 8. So she probably like 5, 6. No, I think 5. I think Tony was 5, who later became my sister and my best friend. But at the time, they kept her away from me and my sister. And I don't know why, but they kept her away from us. So that first night, we go to bed. Then the next morning comes, and I can't really think what we did, but we wound up going downstairs of the house. Because mind you, when we came in late night, we went straight up these steps to the upstairs. So the next morning, they gave us breakfast. I forget what it was. And then we went downstairs of the house. Now I get to see downstairs. And I'm thinking we're going to go play. We're going to do stuff. Like, I'm so excited. I don't know how I slept that night. I was so excited to see the rest of the house and to see the backyard. But anyway, we ate breakfast. We went to the other part of the house downstairs. It was a big living room. It was a porch area. When you come in the house, it's like a big porch. We call that the porch. Closed-in porch. It was a room off the side of the porch, which later became my prison. That was our prison. But the other part of the house had a big living room, another bedroom, which I found out was my great grandma. She was like 90 years old, and she slept in that bedroom. She like 90. I was like, grandmother, my grandmother's mother, which is my great grandmother, and now I got a great grandmother. I never knew. So we was introduced to her, but she was bedridden, and she only knew little bits and pieces of stuff. Like her daughter, which is my great grandmother, explained to her that she took me in and that we would be living there for now. So my great grandmother, she told us to come to the bed. I was scared of her because she was old and she looked scary. So she told us to come close to the bed so she could look at us. And she just instantly looked at me and, "Oh, you ugly." I don't know. I was 8. I don't know. But I remember that. I remember her saying, "Oh, you ugly." So, after that, they told us what the rules of the house. They told us where we would be sleeping, which was my prison for the next 8 years after that day. We would be locked in the room. We was only allowed to come out to do the yard work, to do work around the house, to go to church, and to go to school. Then she would lock us back in the room. I was told that I was ugly from that day to the day my great grandmother died. And her mother, who told me I was ugly. I was stuck there. I was reminded that my mother was a drug addict. She was never going to be nothing. I was reminded that I wasn't never going to be nothing. They were very church people. We went to church every day. Every day we went to church. And this is how I know God knew me before I knew him. Because even though I was abused and neglected and told I wasn't going to be nothing, when I stepped my feet through the doors of that church, and that church will forever be in my heart, that church saved my life. I was treated excellent at that church. I was on the children's choir. I was an usher. I was part of the drill team. Everybody loved me at church. I wish I could live at church because when I got back home and we had to get locked back up in the room, I didn't understand. How can God let this happen to a child? Year after year. But the funny thing is, when I went to church, I was so excited. I got saved and baptized at 8 years old. I knew God at 8 years old. I used to come back when me and my sister would get locked back up in the room. We used to have church, just me and her. We used to have the hymn book. We had the program that we got from our regular church. And we used to practice having church in our own room. I caught the Holy Ghost. I spoke in tongues. I believed that God was real. I never ever asked him to get me out of my house or to get me out of my situation because I was that dumb that when I was told what goes on in the house stays in the house, I kept it. I didn't tell nobody how we was living or how we was being treated. I kept it to myself. But I didn't cry about it. I didn't ask God to fix it. I just couldn't wait to get back to church, to see him again, to be with him, to be excited that people loved on me and they thought I was special. And that's what I look for. Every day we went to church, I was just happy to be at church. And I just say God knew me before I knew him because my great-grandmother thought it was a punishment that we had to go to church every day. Bible study, revival, woman's night, men's night, usher night, deacon night. Like, we was in church every day. The van would come and pick us up. And my great-grandmother and her sister, Aunt Bertha, they was revered in our church. They was considered elders in our church. So they, once she told them that she had her great-grandchildren living with her, and because our mother was on drugs and left us in the house by ourselves, she had to come rescue us. Everybody felt sorry for us. So, like, when we got there, we would, like, people would look out for us. Me and my sister, like, people would love on us and look out for us. So I didn't tell nobody about being locked in the room and hungry. Some nights they gave us like cornbread. That cornbread, not regular Jiffy cornbread, but the cornbread they made with water. I don't know. They gave us that some nights with that barley soup. So I would go not eating. I didn't tell nobody, and I used to be hungry, but I know when we get to church always gave us crackers, cheese, peanut butter sandwich. They fed us. So I knew I didn't have to eat what she gave us. So I would like dump it in the trash and like hide it with stuff so they think I ate it. And then when I get to church, I used to tear up the church food. So that's how I lived. So with the church thinking that we poor orphans, they did a lot for us. They did a lot for us. So where my great grandmother thought she said she was beating the devil out of us. Now she never beat me, but by her cussing at me and her taking me to church every day, she said the devil was in me and she was trying to get the devil out of me. But little do she know that the tree of life is so uncertain, that my destiny was already predetermined, that she was taking me to my father's house where I was supposed to be. That was her punishment. And she was punishing us. She was taking the devil out of us. Because we come from nothing and we're never going to be nothing. But God can save us. So that's why we got to go to church. She saved my life. From 8 years old when I was saved and baptized and filled with the Holy Ghost. Wasn't the same. She introduced me to God. And God just loved on me. He blessed me. He kept me. And as I got older from 8 to 9 to 10 to 11, I started realizing what was happening to me, the abuse part of it. And I just took it to him. I said, I don't know why you got me here in this situation, but I love you, Lord. I trust you. Because that's what I do. That church showed me how to love God, how to trust God, and believe in him no matter what nobody tell you. He's real. That saved my life because he was real to me. I talked with him. He walked with me. He went to school with me. He sat next to me in school. And people used to think I was crazy when I said that, but I saw him. I saw him every day. We talked, we played. That was my best friend, and it still is. He's still my best friend. When I have nobody, he's sitting right there next to me, giving me the strength to keep going, Shanice. Keep going. I got you. Age 16, my great-grandmother had died now. Her mother had died as well. So it was only Aunt Bertha. And Aunt Bertha was more of a pushover. She did everything my great-grandmother told her to do. So I knew I couldn't live anymore. I'm 16 now. Mind you, I came at 8, not knowing nothing. And now I'm 16, and even though I'm short in stature and small in the body, my brain had grown. I knew it was time for me to go. My warden, the person who had put me in this prison, she was dead. And I just felt like God was telling me that I'm free now. I can go back to my grandmother's. And now over the years from 8 to 16, me and my sister got to go visit my grandmother. And my mother only came twice to see us in those 8 years. So I didn't get to see my mother, and I longed to see her. Longed to see how I wanted her to see me. I was big now. So one day I was supposed to go to school. And it's just me, my sister, I call her my sister today, Tony. That's the baby that was there when we got there. It was just us. Grandma had died. Her mother had died. So Bertha was a pushover. She used to tell me to do stuff that my grandmother used to tell me to do. But I felt like she dead. I ain't got to listen to nobody no more. I'm going to be free. So one day I packed my stuff up, the little bit of stuff I had. And I made a decision that I would go look for my mother. 16, I can take care of myself now. So I packed a bag and I hid it in the bushes. So the next day, when it was time to go to school, I grabbed the suitcase out of the bushes and I took it with me to school. So my aunt would think I'm at school. And I left school. I snuck out of school now. I snuck out of school and I took the train back to Harlem to look for my mother, to tell her all the stuff I had to deal with these past 8 years. Being locked up, being talked down to, being reminded that I was dark-skinned and ugly. I got to my grandmother's house and my mother wasn't there. I asked my grandmother, where's my mom? She had told me that my mom had gotten married and she had another child, my little brother. And she lived with her husband across the street from the projects. So I immediately went to her house and surprised her. She hugged me, she kissed me, I cried, she cried. I had finally found my mother. And I didn't know what to do. I thought everything was going to be okay. No. I couldn't stay with her, she said. So I had to go back to my grandmother's house. It was so many people living there still. My grandmother tried to send me back to Long Island to live with her aunt. I couldn't go back. I told her I can't go back. I can't go back there. So she said, okay, I can stay, but I had to take care of myself. She said, I don't have nothing to give you, so you're going to have to take care of yourself. I told her, no problem. I'll take care of myself. I never worked before, so I didn't know. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know nothing. All I knew is I love Jesus, and Jesus got me. That's all I kept saying, like, Jesus, you know you got me. So I sat there day after day, just getting, I was happy to be with my family again. But it was weird how they lived. I didn't never see that before, because remember, I was locked in the room. So I didn't know that this stuff happened, like drinking and smoking. And I never was around that. From 8 years old prior, yes. But from 8 to 16, I didn't see nobody smoke. I didn't see nobody drink, cussing, playing music, gyrating their bodies. I never seen it. I thought it was, we couldn't even allowed to watch TV. The only thing we were allowed to watch was Jimmy Swaggart, which I love Jimmy Swaggart, and the news, 10 o'clock news. Every night we sat and watched the 10 o'clock news. Do you know where your children are? And Jimmy Swaggart, and Tammy Faye Baker. And I think her husband, Jim, and Tammy Baker. Yeah, that's the only shows I knew about. I never watched TV. I didn't know nothing. Like in school, like when all the kids used to come, like telling us, I had one friend, she used to whisper what was on the TV show last night. So when everybody else get together and everybody discussing what was they watching, I would just chime in, act like I watched it just because she told me what was on the show. That's how I fronted. In hindsight, now we say I was a fronter. I used to get all the information from her when school start, and then I'll be like in a group, and I'll pretend like, yeah, that part was good show, knowing I ain't seen no show. I just remember what they told me. So Yvette, Stephanie, and Devani. Yvette, Stephanie, and Devani. Now I remember Yvette Jackson was her last name. She helped me a lot. Yvette Jackson. Devani, I forgot Devani last name, but she was like a pencil. We always pencils. And Stephanie. And I can't remember Stephanie last name. But those three people were my three friends in elementary school, and then when we got to the high school. And I wonder if they think about me today, but I think about them all the time. I actually saw Yvette on Facebook, and one day I wrote her a little note and messenger asking her, did she remember me? But she didn't remember me, but she was a big part of my life. Whether she remembered me or not, I remember her. She was a good friend to me. So anyway, so they used to tell me about stuff that was on TV so I could brag when all the other kids would come to school. All right. So I live at my granny's. My mom lives across the street with her new husband, my little brother. She had a baby. And I would see her every day, but I didn't know what to do. I wasn't in school no more because remember, I ran away. I'm not in school. And I love school, so now I didn't know, nobody to sign me up for school. My grandmother kept telling my mother, sign that child up for school. That girl want to go to school, sign up for school. My mother kept saying every day, okay, okay. But she never did. My grandmother wound up signing me up for school. And I loved school at that time. But I was older now. You know, when you're 16, 17, school not important no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to eat. I'm hungry. And Granny, even though she sold dinners, we wouldn't be able to touch none of the good food. I call it the good food, the collard greens and the macaroni and cheese, because she sold that food. From people in the neighborhood used to come and buy dinners. So we couldn't touch that food. I call that the good food. We had to find scraps or whatever we can get our hands on. So I wasn't used to that, because even though I was locked in a room, I had the church feeding me and I had the school feeding me. Now I'm not in school and I'm not in church. So where I'm getting food from? So my grandmother would give me little bits and pieces here and there, but not, I was hungry. So I dropped out of school. I didn't really drop, yeah, I dropped out. I left school because I figured I gotta work. I'm hungry. I look like a bum. I'm being teased now. I'm still dark skinned, bald head, nappy head. I wasn't into boys. I ain't even know boys. But um I did have a friend I met when I was 12 years old. And when me and my sister used to come back and forth from Long Island to Harlem, like a weekend or whatever, I met him and he became my boyfriend. Now, we say that, but there was no kissing, no sex, no nothing. So from 12, 13 until I actually moved back to Harlem, we would talk on the phone. We wrote each other letters. So he knew I was running away and to my grandmother's house. So he told me when I get to my grandmother's house, call him and he would come see me. So yeah, I had a boyfriend, but I ain't know a boyfriend. We just said it. All we did was hold hands and talk. And he became one of my best friends. But he was the first boy I was with. I lost my virginity at 16. My first time having sex, I got pregnant. Um, I felt bad, like a conviction was in my spirit, because I always knew God to say you have to be married. So I thought I did something wrong. So I stopped talking to God. Remember, God was walking with me the whole time, talking to me. He was my best friend. I stopped listening. I didn't pray no more. I didn't read my Bible no more. Like, I tried to push him away because I was embarrassed about having sex, not married, 16 years old. But my boyfriend at the time, I ain't gonna call his name, but everybody know me. They know who my boyfriend was. He used to feed me. He loved me. He took care of me. He used to tell me I was beautiful. He never said nothing bad. He never put his hands on me. He made me feel like God made me feel. Like, oh my God, I was in love. But what I did was I pushed God away. When I had sex, I was embarrassed. I didn't want God to know or see. Remember, in my head, I'm thinking he could see me. Like, he my friend. He always walking with me. So I'm thinking, if I push him out my head and stop praying and stop reading, he won't see that I was having sex with my boyfriend. So I don't know. My logic was crazy back then. But I was longing to pray. I was longing to read my Bible. But I was too ashamed. And I didn't want God to see me ashamed. So I just thought it best if I just don't talk to him no more. So from 16 until I moved here to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which was 10 years ago, I was 40. I stopped talking to him. 20 years. You know how people say, I pray. I went to different churches, but I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed that I couldn't go into another church. I couldn't. I was having sex out of wedlock. And I knew better. How can I talk to him? He wasn't going to be my friend no more. My only friend. But then I thought, okay, I have a friend now. I have my boyfriend. He's my friend. He treats me good. He say good things to me. He feed me. He clothes me. Maybe. But I forgot that God existed. I forgot. I pushed him out of my mind. I pushed him out of my heart. And for 20 years or so, I ignored him. He would come to me and talk to me. But I would tell him, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Let me be. Until he stopped coming. He let me be. And my life changed worse than what it was. My mother stabbed me. I almost lost my life. I lost the baby I was carrying at 16 years old. I miscarried. It was twins. I miscarried. I'm 17, 18 now. I'm hungry. I live at my grandmother's house. It's nothing but fighting, police, drugs, alcohol. I don't know nobody. I just stayed to myself and my boyfriend. I tried to go out, hang out with my cousins. They were all now having babies. My sister, who now lived back with my grandmother, she was pregnant. It was like a lot going on, but I always felt like I didn't fit. So I stayed to myself a lot. If my boyfriend didn't come over, then I just stayed to myself watching TV. But I always felt that a hole. And I thought it was because I didn't have a mother or a father. That's what that hole was. But no, I realized today, at 49 years old, that hole was my mother, my God. He was my best friend. And without him, I was nothing. My life just was nothing. My first boyfriend, we were older now. He was messing with other women. We had broken up. I was by myself. I didn't know what to do. I tried to go to school. I tried to work. My mother had tried to take my life. I was dealing with that trauma. I was alone. I didn't even have a crazy no more. So as the years went on, 20 turned to 30, and I was just trying to find my way all those years out there in that wilderness. I did everything. Everything I could think of just to stay alive. Whatever I could do, I did. I prostituted. And just because you ain't prostituting in the street on the corner doesn't negate the fact that I laid with for money. I call them my friends or my boyfriends. No, I was sleeping with them for survival. I knew I was good at that, and I stuck to what I was good at. I didn't want to get close to nobody. I didn't want no boyfriend. I tried. I tried 3 times, and each one cheated or did what they wanted to do. And I left, and I said, I'm not getting close to not another man. But I knew I had to eat. I knew I was hungry. I had no job. My grandmother, I'm still in my grandmother's house. So I slept with them. We would hang out. We have a good time. The night was over, or the next day, they be like, here, Shanice, what you want? They would take me shopping. I would travel, go on trips. And it was prostitution. I didn't want to call it that, but I can say that now at 49 years old. It was prostitution. Just because I wasn't out on the corner like tricks on the corner does not mean nothing. I was a prostitute. Going out on dates to go to the fancy restaurant, to have the latest outfits, to have my hair pretty, my nails done. It was prostitution. But I thought I was happy. If I would try to get niggas for their money, like it was no, excuse my language. I would try to get guys for their money. I didn't want no feelings. And as soon as they caught feelings, like they talk about I love you were cut off. I don't want your love. I don't want no love. This is fun. This is business. No love. 30 years old. I got in trouble with the law. I went to jail. It was short-lived, 2 weeks. But that was the worst situation I have ever been in. Mind you, I got stabbed. I got raped. I got told I wasn't nothing. I was abused. Never physically, but mentally, emotionally, I was abused all my life. Thank God nobody ever beat me. Oh Lord. I probably would have killed myself. I tried to commit suicide a couple of times. I just felt awful as a person. I didn't understand. I was good to everybody. Why is this happening to me? But at 30 years old, I got in trouble with the law. And I was facing jail time. And I just got on my knees. And I ain't been on my knees to pray in years. But I just got on my knees and I said, Lord, if you get me out this situation, I don't want to go to jail. It was marijuana. I said, I don't want to go to jail. They're going to kill me in jail. Please, if you help me, I promise you I'll get my life together. I'll serve you. Well, he got me out the situation. But I didn't serve him. I didn't go to no church. I didn't pray no more. And he got me out of my situation. Something that was unheard of, unprecedented, happened for me. That's a federal crime to bring marijuana from another country. And yet, God saw to it that not only did I get a good lawyer, but all I had to do was community service and pay a fine. That's God. That was nothing but God. But I didn't serve him. Right after that incident, I didn't serve him. I left it. I forgot about him. So now I ain't got nothing. I was earning money, dating. I was earning money, traveling with marijuana. I was a mule. And now I have nothing. I'm sitting in my cousin's house because I had moved out of my grandmother's house. And I'm sitting in my cousin's house because that's where I live now. And I used to go across the street every day to get the newspaper and coffee. Every day. So every day, this guy that owned the store used to flirt with me. And I knew I could get him. This would save my problems. He got money. I know I can get it. I'm going to do it. Because I'm hungry. I ain't got no job, no money. And I got to do community service every day. Well, one day, after months of him trying to take me out on a date, this one day, I was just thinking about money. I was like, I need some money, but I don't want to go back to selling marijuana. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. I say, okay, I'll go on a date with you. All I could think of, how much money I'm going to get out of this dude tonight. Not even a month later of dating him, he wound up being a cool dude. And I did get as much money as I could get from that night and forward. I still didn't want no love. He started talking about, Shanice, I love you. I want to make you my wife. Boy, if you don't shut up, ain't nobody fall in love, nothing. I treated him like, please, ignore him. Listen, just keep giving me your money. That's all I care about. A month later, or maybe 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. 30 years old, pregnant. By this dude that I'm just sleeping with for money. I was excited. Yeah, that's crazy. I was happy because, mind you, 30 years I was crying. Why everybody got kids? I'm never going to have kids. Oh, I guess God, I thought God was mad at me. Remember, I got pregnant when I was 16 and I lost them. I've never been pregnant from 16 to 30. So I thought God, when I told him to leave me alone, I thought he listened to me. So when my sisters and my cousins was having babies, I thought I was being punished. So I was happy when I found out I was pregnant. But then I became sad because I'm pregnant by a stranger. I'm pregnant by a man who claims to love me, but I didn't think he loved me. I think he liked having me. I think he liked spending time with me, but I didn't believe that he could love me. Me, Shanice. He loved the person I presented myself to be. Strong, like nothing bothers me. That's who he loved. He didn't know me, my insides, what I wanted from life. He didn't know nothing. So I tried to stay positive. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for giving me this baby. You know, I'm going to serve you from now on. I didn't think you would give me a blessing like this. You know, I talked to God that night. I was so happy. I had a little daughter. Beautiful girl. I was sad because I wanted sons, but that's neither here nor there. That's another subject. But the father, he wound up helping me. I first told him, believe me, he didn't want to have nothing to do with it. But a year later, of me still dating him, not saying his daughter, but still trying to get money out of him, I had to sleep with him. I would show him pictures of her. He would look at them, but like kind of ignore it and just slept with me. He didn't care nothing about his daughter. And she was about to turn 1. And he always gave me money, like a lot of money. Anything I wanted, he told me just tell him he got it, but he couldn't be a father. He didn't believe she was his. So here I want to throw her first big birthday party. And this is what I'm saying. God have been with me since birth. But I spent like $2,000, $3,000 on this birthday party. I wanted to be big. This is my daughter. This is her first birthday. I wanted to be big. And her father, he got the money. So I'm going to get the money from him and I'm going to throw a big party. I got so much food, so much liquor, so much everything. I spent like $3,000 on this party. And it was in the park at my grandmother's house. And I invited everybody to come out. It was plenty of everything. Well, her father had to give me a little bit more because I ran out of money and he had to give me some more. So he said, I'll bring it to you at the park. And I said, oh, okay. I'm thinking I'm going to take his daughter. When he called me to come outside, or when he come up to the park, I'm going to take his daughter with me in my arms so he can see her face to face. Because mind you, 1 year he haven't seen her face to face. He only seen her in pictures. Even though I was still sleeping with him, still getting money for him, me and my daughter was living good. You ain't got to lay your eyes on her. I know she yours. God knows she yours. You can be stubborn all you want. Well, I carried my daughter with me. He called me and said he's outside. Come get the money from him. So I carried my daughter to meet him. And as soon as he laid eyes on her, let me tell you something. As soon as he laid eyes on her, he fell in love. He kissed her. He hugged her. He said, oh my God, she looked just like me. Oh, he loved her from that day. That was nothing but God. He loved her from that day. He apologized to me. He cried to me. He asked me for my forgiveness for ignoring her for a whole year of her life. He said he would make it up to her, and he did until the day he died. He was the best father to her. And I had a son. 2 years later, after my daughter, I had a son. And he was the best father. Nobody understood how good he was to these kids, how good he was to me. It was as if God, something that I used. I just thought it was nothing. I was going to use this man, take him for his money. He wound up changing my life. I knew that I had to be the best mother I could be. I never wanted my kids to ever go to hungry. That they would never have to sleep with a man for money. I would tell them to the day I die that you're beautiful. No hair, long hair. Dark skin, light skin. Skinny, fat. I love you with all my heart. And nobody hurt them or do anything to them. And from that day, I went back to God and I asked him, Lord, I don't know how to be a mother. I need you. I need my friend back. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Just please come back in my life. And for a little while, I didn't hear him talk to me. For a little while, I didn't feel him. But I expected that he was angry. From New York, my grandmother had died. And she was the glue that kept me in New York. When she died, I had nobody left. There was no excuse for me to stay in Harlem no more. My mother was there. My sisters was there. My grandmother was my everything. I knew it was time for me to leave New York. And I came. First, I went to upstate New York and stayed around my brother for a little while. When that didn't work, I came to Pennsylvania. And my daughter was My daughter was like 6, and my son was like 4. And their father had got in trouble with the law, so he was in immigration prison. They was gonna deport him, so I didn't have no more help. I was again by myself, but now I got 2 kids. And I beg God to forgive me. Please. I'm sorry. Whatever I said, whatever I did. I miss my friend. I needed my friend. So when I moved here to Pennsylvania, my cousin took me to church with her one day. And it was that day, God sat next to me in the pew. And he put his arms around me. And he told me he never left me. It was me. It was me. I didn't hear him. He said, but I was there the whole time. When you sat in that jail for 2 weeks, I sat next to you. Every time you went and slept with a man for money, I was there for you. I made sure that that man didn't kill you. I made sure that that man didn't hurt you. And they could have easily hurt me. He said I was standing right there making sure they didn't hurt you. And I know I questioned, like, why didn't you stop it? He never gave me no answer. He just wanted me to know I was there. When you got pregnant with China, I gave you China. I was there. When you had difficulties delivering China, I sit right there next to you. Who do you? And when they left Scissors to you, when you had Chris, I was right there with you. So even though you couldn't hear me, I heard you. I heard your cries. I saw you cry. And I was holding you. I charged him foolishly. It was me. I couldn't hear his voice. I used to talk to him. I used to hear him so clear. And I didn't hear him no more. I thought he left me. But he said, no, I would never leave you nor forsake you. I told you that at 8 years old, I would never leave you. I was there. 30 years old. I moved here when I was 10. I was 39 when I moved here. And I saw my friend again. 39. That day when I saw my friend, my life changed. I was back to myself again. I was happy. I was talking to him every day. I saw him walking with me. I heard his voice. And I promised him I would never leave him again. And he told me again, I would never leave you nor forsake you. I thought I found a happy church, a church the same exact Pentecostal apostolic that came into my life at 8 years old. Now at 40, I'm sitting it. It seemed like the exact same atmosphere. The pastor was apostolic, born and raised. She knew how to speak to my soul. Like everything she spoke was as if I went back to being 8 years old and 9 years old, and 10 years old, and 11 years old. It was like God was there. Like I fell in love with him all over again. And even though for 8 years I went to this church, 8 years, back and forth, I fought some demons. I knew where I fit. I knew where I belonged. But I didn't understand church dynamics. Everybody want to play church, not even understanding that your soul is so much more. It's worth so much more than playing. I'm not a woman to play. I'm either all in or I'm all out. I don't understand how you can be on both sides. You chilling at the club and then you in church. My mentality can't handle that. I'm all in or all out. And the times that I messed up in these past 8 years, 10 now, I picked a side. I chose a side. I know God. I knew that when I got frustrated and I went back into the world, I was leaving my friend. I traded my friend a lot for my pleasure. What I thought was pleasure. Because I didn't want him to see me smoking and drinking and then coming and praising him. He knew me. I knew him. And I was not going to do that. My spirit was so convicted that I wasn't going to play that game. I'm either all in or I'm all out. But I can't do two lives. To me, that's two lives. And I can't. So I noticed that this particular church, although I loved it, it wasn't lining up with what my spirit was telling me to be true about being in Christ. I didn't want to play church. I couldn't afford to play. I needed people that would help uplift me, take me to a level in God that I know my personal relationship, but I needed help. I needed someone to boost you and encourage you to stay in the word, that no matter what. And I didn't need it in words. I needed to sustain. I needed to see it in action. Not just people running their mouth about how good God is. I needed to see. You know, if you show somebody something, it's different from telling them. You can tell people stuff all day. But until my mind registers, until I can see it in fruition, like in action, it's not going to register to me. So while people play in church, I'm trying to live. Church is in me, like my heart, my soul. It just wasn't, it was clashing with how people were presenting it to me or how they were presenting God to be. Like, it's okay you drink, it's okay you smoke, as long as you, no. I know a God that says, no, you cannot do these things. No, you can't sit up here cussing, having sex, fornicating, or whatever you want to call it, and then come to church. No, I know that's to be wrong. And I don't want no parts of that. And so I left, and then I went back, and then I left, and then I went back, until finally I couldn't keep going back and forth. I had to make a decision. Either you're going to serve God in all his totality, and all your heart and your soul, or you just going to be on the other side with the world. but my soul wasn't going to let me. Every time I tried to drink, I tried to smoke, I tried to fornicate, I tried these things, I felt ashamed. I felt dirty. I felt awful. My soul felt like somebody was just wringing it, like pinching. You know, you ever pinch a child, and when they doing something bad, you be like, if you don't sit your tail down somewhere, like you, that's what I felt like. Every time I do something outside of the spirit, it was like somebody was just pinching me, like, if you don't stop it, if you don't, it was a horrible feeling of being under the will. I got hurt, I got trampled over, and to this day, I still feel less than. I don't feel beautiful. But that brings me here. I'll tell y'all the rest of my story another time, but this is the end of this. December 2020. The plague is out. The coronavirus. I got sick. Having the stomach flu. But having the stomach flu messed my head up. Here I'm depressed. I lost my job. I'm in dire straits. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get comfortable. I need a chair. Oh, I think my dinner's burning. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I have to come back. I gotta check my food. Sorry, guys. I'll come back.
Because fresh ingredients make a sub above. Let your taste buds be the judge. Download the Jersey Mike's app and enter promo code July 1 to get $1 off a regular sub through August 1st.